What is a cochlear implant? It consists of two components, an external and an internal part that's surgically implanted. The internal part consists of an electrical array that's actually in the middle ear in your cochlea, and the array lays against your hearing nerve, so to speak. So when it's activated, it stimulates the hearing ear, the hearing nerve. So the outside part, the external part, this is the microphone, and it hears the sound, and the software inside interprets that sound, and it will send a signal to the internal part, and it basically says like, okay, we're going to fire off these electrodes in this pattern so that the hearing nerve will send the signal to the brain, allowing you to hear that sound. There are currently 3 companies that manufacture cochlear implant systems. There's Advanced Bionics, there's Cochlear, and Medell. Later on in this video, you may hear me refer to cochlear implants as the CI, that's an abbreviation. I myself had my cochlear implant surgery about 16 years ago, as my hearing had decreased to the point that I was getting very little benefit from my hearing aids. So I personally made the decision to go ahead and get a cochlear implant. In my case, I found a lot of benefits to having it. But I think it's important that everyone remember mileage will vary from individual to individual. Some people get more benefit, some people get less of a benefit, and some people use them differently. You also have some people who are using their cochlear implants solely for increased environmental sounds. For example, you have somebody who was born deaf, and they just decided later in life that they wanted to be able to hear environmental sounds. They weren't so worried about being able to hear people speak and understand that. They just wanted to hear the sounds in the environment. You have people that use them that way. You have people such as myself who use them because we really want to hear that spoken language and comprehend it. So we did a lot of practice for that. However, as much benefit I get from my cochlear implant, I do find that I still have some challenges. And some of those, the same challenges that face people who use hearing aids also are challenges for people with cochlear implant. But I think on top of that, I'm also dealing with the fact that so many people just assume that because I have a cochlear implant, I'm hearing everything 100%, 100% of the time. And as I've mentioned, I do see a great benefit, but to say I hear everything 100%, 100% of the time, it's just simply not accurate. For example, background noise can be a tremendous issue for me. It's kind of interesting. The implant, allows me to hear that background noise clearer, but it also interferes with my ability to hear what's right in front of me. Although many of the implant makers are developing software to help reduce the background noise, I myself still have the challenges when there's background noise. The way I would describe it is if you were trying to piece together, let's say you're trying to piece together a puzzle that's made out of audio snippets. And what the background noise does is it keeps throwing extra pieces that don't fit in the puzzle that you're trying to form. For example, I recently went to check in with the receptionist for an appointment that I had, and as she was talking to me, I could hear her, but I couldn't quite understand what she was saying to me. And what the issue was is the receptionist was set up near the waiting area, and they had a TV playing for people that were in the waiting area. And what was happening is I'm hearing some words from the receptionist, but I'm also hearing some words that are coming in from the TV, and it's just all just muddling together in my head. And this was very easy to resolve. We just turned down the TV. I recognized what was happening, and I said to the receptionist, could you please turn this TV down for a little bit? And that solved the problem right there and then. So if you know ahead of time you're going to be meeting with somebody who uses a CI or has any type of a hearing loss, if you can, try to arrange for a room that's going to be relatively quiet. I know that's easier said than done in medical settings sometimes because of all the activity that goes on. But background noise is our number one enemy. Another potential barrier to communicating can be when somebody has an accent. People with hearing loss have trained themselves to hear in a certain way, and when you have somebody that has an accent that's different, that's like changing up the puzzle a little bit. So again, you want to try and resort to making sure you're looking straight at the person, and you again, keep the background noise to a near zero at a minimum. While many people with a cochlear implant opt for listening and speaking as a communication method, it's important to not just assume that because somebody has a CI, that's going to be their method of communicating. There may be situations where somebody requests a sign language interpreter, and they may ask that you write down information if they're having a particular challenge. I know I myself have sometimes asked doctors, usually what happens to me personally is I may understand most of what they're saying, but I might not hear or fully understand like the diagnosis, in which case I'll ask them, could they please write it down? And, they do that, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you were saying. In addition, sometimes you'll see people who use CIs and also hearing aids bring assistive technology with them to help with hearing. It could be something like this that looks as simple as this. This is a microphone that transmits wirelessly to my cochlear implant processors, and I may sometimes, depending on the situation, ask my doctor or any other professional to wear this, and what this does is everything they say, it gets amplified and sent to my cochlear implant directly wirelessly, and that can also help with background noise, but I do want to point out that these don't cut it out completely. There's still some background noise. If it's occurring, this will pick it up a little bit, but it will emphasize the speaker that's wearing it, and it makes a big difference for me personally. In conclusion, while I definitely encourage people to do as much research as they can about hearing loss and the different ways people address it, the best person, I think, the best source of information would be the individual that you're meeting with, because simply put, this is something that's different from person to person. What works well for one person does not always work well for the next individual. You may meet somebody who, they're using a CI, and you find that they got like 99.9% of what was being said. And then there may be somebody who also has the exact same brand, and they may not get nearly as much, and they may ask to use additional technology, and they will tell you how they communicate and what they need. It may be that they ask for a sign language interpreter. It may be that they ask for notes. It may be that they ask for a quiet room, which hopefully we'll all be in anyway. So definitely the person you're meeting with is your best source. Sometimes people, like I myself, I'm not shy about letting people know what I need, but not everybody's feels comfortable doing that. So if you meet somebody that's wearing hearing aids or using the cochlear implants, there is definitely a benefit to you saying, what can I do to enhance our communication and understanding of each other? Because communication is not about just what is heard, it's about what is understood. Thank you.